Hello anybody, and thanks for tuning into Monday Morning Handicapping. This is a quick Cappin video on the 2025 Pennsylvania Derby. A little agenda for this video: we're going to go over a general overview of the Pennsylvania Derby. I'm going to quick cap the Pennsylvania Derby. I have yet to look at the race. As I go through the racing form, I'm going to provide commentary on my real quick capping process. This is to help newcomers generally understand how I analyze a race and come to a selection. Then I'm going to follow up with how I might play the race and any overall takeaways and or final notes that I come up with. So the 2025 Pennsylvania Derby is at Parks Race Course. It's a distance of 1 1/8 miles on the main dirt track. It's a grade 1 event. The purse is $1 million for 3-year-olds. Male or female can enter the race, but must be 3 years old. Here's a little diagram of the track. So they're going to start at the top of the stretch, run around the track one time, and finish a little further at the end of the stretch from where they began. Here are a couple of the wagers offered on this particular race. You have the Daily Double, Exacta, 50-cent Trifecta, and 10-cent Superfecta. This race is taking place on Saturday, September 20th, 2025 at Parks Racetrack in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. It's race number 14 and should go off roughly at 3 p.m. Pacific time. There's a field of 10 runners in this race. This race is not a win and you're into a Breeders' Cup race, but it is considered a prep race for the Breeders' Cup races occurring in the fall. So look for some horses to run outstandingly in this race, and you might see them later in the fall in a Breeders' Cup race, which is the cream of the crop racing. The trainer with the most wins in this particular race is a trainer named Bob Baffert with 4 wins, and the record time for this race was 1 minute 46.96 seconds by a horse named Bayern in 2014. So now let's get into the racing form, and I'm just going to talk about what I'm seeing, what I'm looking at, and which horses I think are contenders versus the pretenders. The Pennsylvania Derby, number 1, So Sandy. This is a grade 1 event. This horse has not quite ran in a graded stakes yet. Took 6 tries to break its maiden. This horse seems to have some speed, likes to be forwardly placed, doesn't necessarily have to be on the lead. 48 to 111. Now this racing form is showing the fractions of the leaders of the race, not this particular horse. Some racing forms, you can modify it to show you how fast this horse ran, but these are the races that he's been running into. So this is the leader of the race's fractions and how well he closed into those fractions. So this horse likes to be up front, but is taking a big step up in class down near the rail, but is a front runner, so we'll keep that in mind. Has won at the 1 1/8 miles distance, but again, a much stiffer competition in this race. Of course, these are 3-year-olds, so they should be improving. They should have learned all they need to know from their 2-year-old into the end of their 3-year-old year. So I want to see some consistency as of late. See that they're on the right track. This horse has run its best race last time out on July 24th. Let's take a look at the work since then. Some pretty good steady works, all about a week apart, but is a big step up in class. Front runner with a big step up in class. This horse, if we just quickly scan, first off, it's jumping up from 5 and 6 furlong races up to 1 1/8 miles. Likes to be forwardly placed, has faded very badly the last couple times. This one might play a factor in the pace. Another big step up in class for this horse. I don't really give this horse much of a chance at first glance. Is 50 to 1. Magnitude, I know this horse a bit. This horse didn't run great last time out, faded after running not terribly fast fractions. I did hear some podcasters talk about how this horse maybe just didn't take to the Saratoga racetrack, so maybe a different track and it runs better. It's won at 1 1/8 miles here, running pretty good fractions. Last race, if we scratch it off, it looks pretty good. Still a step up in class, has only won a grade 2. Definitely looks like it wants to be on the lead. Has a couple of really nice buyers, but then last race, if we just assume that the horse didn't like the track, we could forgive that last race. Definitely looks like it's going to be met with some speed to its inside, so the tactics will be very interesting. If we go back and look, has Castillo ridden this horse before? I don't see Castillo's name on it, so the tactics could be a question mark. Carmouche has never ridden the 1 before, but they both look like they're going to have some speed, maybe go out with magnitude to set up a hot pace, which means they might get tired late, and some of the closers might have an edge. This horse has won from just off the pace before, a while back. Definitely a step up in class, but the classiest of the speeds of the first 3 runners. David of Athens, first start after 2 months, is 2 for 3 lifetime. Won impressively last time out routing, going 1 mile or greater in a field of 5, so not a lot of competition. This horse was favored there, so was expected to win. This horse is sired by Nyquist, who is a Kentucky Derby winner, so the distance should not be too much of an issue if the breeding suggests anything. This horse has won from off the pace on debut. It did beat a horse named Patch Adams, who's been a pretty decent horse at these types of distance where this horse beat him. Came back, although he finished second, it was off of about an 8th-month layoff, or finished not second, sixth by 2 lengths. Off quite a layoff, was closing in a sprint race, 7 wide after braking slowly. Second time out, fired, had showed some good route speed. Again, a big step up in class, but first 4 runners look like they all want to be on or near the lead. So step up in class plus pace pressure makes me kind of want to fade these horses, but let's see who else is in this field. Happily Delusional ran poorly in a grade 3, has only won a maiden race, which is for horses that have never won a race before. Won pretty impressively, has a lot of runs over this track. This bold numbers, the buyer speed figures are pretty low. Looks like this is just a really big step up in class, but can come from off the pace. Paco Lopez winning at 24% right now. Looks like a big step up in class. I'm just not so sold on this horse. He is 30-1 on the morning line, however. Goal oriented 5-2 on the morning line, trained by Bob Baffert, the trainer with the most wins in this particular race. Ran 3rd to Journalism, 4th to Journalism in the Preakness. 2 wins before that. If Journalism was in this race, I'm sure he would be favored. But however, this horse did lose to Gosker, and you can tell by the bold letters that this horse is in this race as well. We've yet to get to him though. Lost to Sandman by 4 lengths, but that Preakness, they had some trouble in that turn. This horse took a little bit of time off, came back and ran a best effort, stalking right off of the pace, as you can see, 3rd by a length, and started to make its move. Just got ran down by Journalism, who, as we know, is a very talented horse. Since July 19th, we'll check the work tab. A 7 furlong work, 4 furlong, 5, 7, so some long works. This horse does have stamina, and again, in good hands with Bob Baffert. New jockey aboard this time. Ran in a couple of grade 1s, ran 3rd again to Journalism, so this horse has the class, does belong at this level. Can sit right off of the pace, and it looks like there's going to be a lot of speed to his inside. Number 7, Big Truz, has run in a grade 1 at 7 furlongs, ran 3rd behind Patch Adams, who, if we go back and look at David of Athens, he beat him on debut. So that horse beat Patch Adams. This horse lost to Patch Adams. Kind of makes me lean towards the 4 over this 7, but if we look at this horse's route races, looks like he made a middle move in a pretty quick pace and faded. Was a little more patient last time out and won very decisively. Again, sort of just stalking that pace. A $300,000 stake, so not quite a grade 1, did not win a grade 3, did not win a grade 1, but ran pretty well out last time out, being a little more patient, waiting to make his move. Is sired by Justify, and the dam sire is Curlin, so that tells me the distance should not be an issue. Big Truz is a little interesting at 10-1 right off the bat. Baeza, we know about this horse. This is a horse that I knew was in this race somewhere. This horse ran very well in the Kentucky Derby, pretty well in the Belmont and the Jim Dandy, just losing to Sovereignty and Journalism, who are, by most consensus opinions, are the top 2 3-year-olds, and this horse just keeps running 3rd to both of those. This horse beat Hill Road, who's a decent horse. It's a 1.125 should not be an issue. This horse looks like it also wants to come from off the pace, which looks like a favorable scenario based on the first 4 runners, really. This horse has only won a maiden race, but has definitely run well in grade 1 races. Looks like might be a little close up, maybe mid-pack, could sit right behind Big Truz and Goal Oriented and just try to run them down. Is steadily improving. We see May to June to July, so not overly taxed. This horse should still have a little bit left in the tank. Not running tons of races back to back to back. A nice 6 furlong workout going 111 and change, which is solid. If we go down to Gosker, another stock the pace type. Has run well in 2 grade 1s, losing to Journalism both times, who arguably is the second best 3-year-old in the country, losing by a half length each time. The Preakness Stakes, he had a clear lead and Journalism ran him down. That's a race he probably should not have lost unless he was just a little immature. It was only his 4th career start. Took a couple months off, came back, ran a better speed figure, but still got ran down by Journalism. Bobbled at the break, maybe a little bit further back than he would have liked to have been. This horse is getting an outer post now. Ran okay from the 9 post in that Preakness. Maybe that's going to play a factor in this race, that outside post. Brandon Walsh also trains the 4, who definitely looks like it might set up some speed for one of his closers, Gosker. Keep going down. Mo Plex, get a good look at him. Won a grade 3, $145,000 stake, 7 furlongs. Came back out a couple months later, won the Ohio Derby over Chunk of Gold. Lost to Sovereignty and Baeza by 10 lengths. Stumbled at the start and weekend. Definitely looks like a front-running type. JD Ramos rode this horse to its most recent win, so has some familiarity. won at Thistle Down, a lower tier track, to 112 to the 3/4, 112 and change. I think this horse plays a factor in the pace scenario, but I think is going to be outrun early. I don't really give the 10 a big shot. 9 Gosker has a nice workout coming into this race, working at Churchill Downs, so not the furthest ship compared to Baeza and Goal Oriented, who are coming from the West Coast, so quite a bit longer of a ship. So after going through the racing form, Magnitude I think is the classiest of the speed, but I think will be pressed on the front end. So I don't think he's going to get away easy. Every time he came from off the pace, the fractions were quite a bit slower. This race looks like it's shaping up for quite a meltdown, and whoever can set behind the leaders with the most comfortable trip looks like they're going to have the advantage. So if I'm comparing Goal Oriented to Gosker, the two somewhat upsets, Gosker beat Sandman, who's turned out to be a very popular horse, but not quite the win machine they were hoping for. Beat Goal Oriented last time. Goal Oriented broke from the far outside in that race. Gosker a little bit to the inside from the 6 hole. I think that replay would be worth replaying. So I actually just went back and rewatched the Haskell Stakes between Gosker and Goal Oriented. And Goal Oriented was out in front of Gosker early, and Gosker had to go around Goal Oriented around the turns. They finished a neck apart, but I think Gosker put in his run a little bit earlier than Goal Oriented and sustained that stamina to outkick Goal Oriented and finish ahead of him by a neck. However, journalism did run him down. But between Gosker and Goal Oriented, I think Gosker ran the tougher race, not by much, but was slightly pinched out of the gate. Just barely had to take back a little bit behind horses, maybe lost maybe a half a length, and it didn't really pull away from Goal Oriented. So I think Goal Oriented and him are about on the same level talent wise, but I think Gosker ultimately ran the tougher race and really dug in and fought. Has some nice work, so I slightly give the edge to Gosker over Goal Oriented. I think he can be perched right on the outside of Goal Oriented, follow him around, and go and attack him when the jockey gives the cue. I think just gets a cleaner trip in the early parts of the race. Big Trez, I think it's just too big of a step up in class for this horse. I think he can run well, but I'm going to have to go with Gosker over Goal Oriented. Baeza, definitely a contender. Won't be surprised if this horse finally gets its win other than the maiden race. Obviously has run well behind the top 2 3-year-olds at this point. Also, if we compare Baeza to Gosker in their most recent runs against journalism, Baeza was 3.5 lengths and a neck behind journalism, whereas Gosker was a half length and a half length behind journalism in both of his races. So I just think that Gosker might be a little bit more consistent. Of course, Baeza ran against that 19-horse field in the Kentucky Derby. Journalism seemed to just be sort of tiring out after the end of that longer race. Gosker, I think, will have a pace advantage being in front of Baeza, and I think Gosker is just going to sit behind Goal Oriented early, who's going to be sitting behind these first 4 front runners, as well as Big Trez, who looks like he'll probably be right behind the front runners. So it's going to be a flight of horses, 1, 2, 3, 4 up near the front, 7 following, 6 following, with the 9 right there, probably 3, 4 lengths off of the lead early, with Baeza behind them. And I think Baeza might face the same trouble Gosker did in this Haskell, where he might just get taken back a little bit and have to come running late. Now, Baeza might be good enough to run past him late, but with Gosker being in front, turning for home at a distance of 1 mile and 1/8, I think Gosker, I'm going to give the edge to Gosker. So number 9 Gosker will be my top pick. So my top selection in plays, it's going to be number 9 Gosker, 4-1 on the morning line. How I might play this, I might put some amount of money to win on number 9 Gosker, maybe $5-10. I would also entertain a 50-cent trifecta, number 9 Gosker to win, with 1, 6, 7, or 8 to finish second, with those same horses, 1, 6, 7, or 8 to finish third. A 50-cent trifecta costs $6 to play this combination. The one is a long shot that I threw in as well. I think that this horse is improving, can stalk a quick pace, and has the rail draw. If this horse can just ride the rail, stalk that early, really fast pace, and ride the rail the whole way around, I think this horse will have an advantage, not only being up near the front, but also saving ground around the turns. It's an improving type, jumping up in class, but if this horse could run second, that's going to boost the payout on this trifecta, as we were taking the third choice in the betting on top. And even if it comes 9, 8, 6 with the 2 favorites in second and third, you'll definitely get your money back for $6 having beat the 2 favorites in first for the trifecta. And if Gosker wins anyways, this win should be paying. I'm expecting about 4-1. That morning line is good. I think you can expect those odds. That's going to be how I would play this race. Now, I'm not looking at any horizontal wagers where they're going to include other races, multi-race wagers, but how I would play this race, how I handicap it, this is what I've come up with, and I hope that that is useful for you. So good luck if you are betting number 9, Gosker. Some key takeaways. We're going to hope to get a fast, contentious pace. We're going to need them to set it up for one of these off-the-pace runners. If any horse in this race gets a loose lead and is not being pressured early, they could be dangerous, especially Magnitude, David of Athens. So we're going to hope that there's multiple horses going out towards the lead and going really fast, tire out, and let one of these off-the-pace runners come running by as they get tired. Gosker, we're going to need to avoid any early traffic trouble. Again, last time when I watched the Haskell, had a little bit of taking back early and then went a little bit wide. So just get out clean and find a comfortable spot to stalk the fast pace early. Don't be too wide on either of the turns. Again, this horse was a little bit wider than goal oriented and still beat him by a neck after a little bit of early traffic. So I think that Gosker ran the better race and while facing more difficulty and still necked out, goal oriented. I expect Gosker to be within a half length of the lead when entering the stretch. I think that puts him in a prime position to keep moving and might be hard to run down. And when they do come to the finish line, this horse, along with every other horse that might be on the lead, is going to have to hold off Baeza, who does look to be a strong closer, is classy, even though it doesn't have a win at the level, only has that maiden win, but has run impressively against some of the top 3-year-olds. So that's why I'm going to be taking Gosker. I think he's got a pace advantage. I think he's improving, and I think he's run well recently. Those are my key takeaways for this race. That's it for the Pennsylvania Derby. Thanks to anybody for watching. I appreciate all the views and comments I'm getting. All feedback is appreciated, whether it's positive, negative. You have questions or comments or requests, just leave them in the comment box below. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and or share with friends. I would really appreciate it. It's nice to get the feedback that people are liking the videos, and when you share with friends, I'm just glad that I'm kind of spreading the word about the sport to other people. My target audience is for folks that are relatively new to the sport, so the more eyeballs on the sport that can get interested and get invested, the longer that we can see the sport thrive and survive. This sport apparently is on the ropes a little bit, so if we can build an audience that can appreciate the sport for what it is, and I have any part in that, then that would just be awesome all around. If you do know anyone that you're sharing this video with that's somewhat of a newcomer or might be interested in horse racing in general, I have a couple of playlists that I made for some of those newcomers. One is how to read a racing form, because I brought friends to the track before and I show them the racing form. They just want to take my word for it. They look at the racing form and don't really want to learn the ins and outs of what it's showing you. So I broke down all the components of the racing form and just talk about what it's telling you, the information you can glean from reading it. It's really not complicated when you break it down into bite-sized pieces, which is what I did in that playlist. It's about a 10-part series. They're a couple minutes each, and I just break down what each section is telling you so that you can make an informed decision on a race and come up with a selection of your own. And when you do that, you can collaborate with friends, and that's the most fun in this game, is really sharing opinion and going back and forth with the merits of each runner. It's a great way to learn more about the racing form and how to read it, so I hope that helps anyone out. I also have betting on horse racing. That's where I go over all the bets that a track typically offers. There's a lot of them. I talk about what they are, how to place them, the verbiage you use with the clerk if you're going to go up to a live teller. And then I also talk about the ticket structures, different structures, how much it's going to cost based on your structure, and a few things that I look for when I'm placing some kind of bet. If I like a horse on a given day, there are different types of bets that I might play based on the other races around it or the horses in that particular race. So 2 different playlists for anyone that you think might be interested in horse racing or wants to learn more about it. Please share those with them. Coming up next, I'll probably do a pedigree playlist. Again, those videos aren't my most popular, but it's a very important part of the game to work on, knowing horses and what their offspring are doing on the track. One horse that I've been hearing a lot about is a sire named Violence. I want to see what kind of runners he's producing and where they're running their best races, so that when I see a race with a bunch of horses that have never raced before, a bunch of first-time starters, I can gain an edge of where Violence horses like to run. Unless otherwise requested, if anyone wants me to cover a certain topic or answer any questions, just let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to do that. Also, this is just a quick capping video where I break down the race like I did. I also have that race forecast. That's where I go a little bit more in depth and kind of play out the entire race for everybody. There is a playlist of race forecast with a follow-up race review where I predict the race, how I think it's going to go, and then I review the race, look at where I was right, where I was wrong, and just some of the things that happened that I thought would happen or didn't. But quick capping is just to get a quick video out for an upcoming race. So I hope it was useful for anyone. Let me know what you think of my opinion. Good luck if you're playing the Pennsylvania Derby, and I'll see you next time.